Why the enhanced original Alaric Saltzman is far stronger than you think. Alaric was turned by Esther in attempts to make a vampire that could rid the world of vampires completely. This would imply that he was created with the intention of being stronger than all the original's vampires and the original hybrid at the time of Season 3. This statement holds true through Alaric's feats displayed in Season 3 of the Vampire Diaries, in which he's accomplished some crazy feats in a short time. I'll be focusing on the main points typically used to debunk Alaric's superiority over the originals from Season 3 of TVD to the original's Season 3. In Episode 22 of TVD Season 3, Klaus stated continuous times to Stefan, Damon and Bonnie that if he was to be killed by Alaric in their confrontation, so would their loved ones via the sire bond they had from being part of his lineage of vampires. Furthermore, Klaus wasn't even entertaining the idea of taking on Alaric in a 1v1 fight, in which Bonnie proposed an alternative way of subduing Alaric, but it would still require lots of vampire muscle to even work. The method Bonnie was proposing required her to use dark magic, which would allow her to desiccate Alaric, similar to how her mother Abby had desiccated Mikael a couple of years ago. Once Stefan or Damon or Klaus made contact with one of Alaric's vitals, she would be capable of performing the spell and subduing the enhanced original. When Stefan and Damon try and fail to restrain Alaric, becoming instantly neutralized in the process, Klaus, with the advantage of a surprise attack, manages to pierce Alaric's chest and hold him long enough for Bonnie to begin the spell. He confirms that Klaus made contact and begins the spell, in which, after a few seconds, Alaric removes his hand, resisting the spell and overcoming Klaus' raw strength before breaking Klaus' arm and tossing him across the hallway. This feat alone solidifies Alaric as Klaus' superior. When Stefan, Damon, Tyler and Bonnie attempted to desiccate Klaus using the same spell that failed to subdue Alaric in the same episode, and they were successful doing so. Then in the original Season 2 Episode 18, Klaus and his father yet again failed to resist being desiccated by Dahlia using dark magic and the same spell Bonnie and Abby had used. Counter-arguments have been proposed that Alaric had broken the connection before it could take effect, as the spell works over time and is not instant. While I agree with this point, it doesn't refute that Bonnie had plenty of time to start the spell before Alaric removed Klaus' hand, and when Dahlia performed the same spell, she has desiccated Mikael and Klaus almost instantly, making such counter unsubstantiable. To add insult to injury, another claim to denounce Alaric's superiority over the Mikkelsons from TVD Season 3 to the original Season 3 takes place in Season 1, Episode 10 of the originals, where Harvest Girl Davina showed capable of breaking Klaus' bones easier in comparison to when Alaric slammed Klaus against the lockers in TVD Season 3, Episode 21. Again, this is a flawed claim, mostly due to a misunderstanding of the scene, in which Davina isn't just merely breaking Klaus' bones, but she's actually forcing him to partially transform into his werewolf state due to his hybrid nature, via magic. Magic in this verse automatically bypasses the conventional durability of any species, and is the primary reason why witches can easily subdue vampires, even those of original tier, quite easily. There are many examples of this being the case, such as witches being able to cause the desiccation, boiling of blood, snapping of necks, paralyzation, and much more to vampires in the series. So to claim that Harvest Girl Davina is actually physically affecting Klaus is a bit of a stretch, when knowing she could just manipulate the magic within his body and force him to break his own bones through a forced transformation, ergo making such a claim unsubstantiable. In order for this claim to remain true, we would need a better indication of her using her magic to overwhelm Klaus' durability and not just bypassing it, such as slamming him against a wall with telekinesis resulting in broken bones. Only then could we truly say her AP is superior to his durability. Because as we've seen from other hybrids like Tyler, when forcing their own transformations, their bones break in the process, clearly gauging that their AP is superior to their durability by raw strength alone. Furthermore, the argument was going to lead up to Monique and Abigail, who, while supercharged by the ancestors in the original Season 1 Episode 22, Elijah tanked a telekinesis push from ergo placing him above Alaric, along with Klaus, who was somewhat capable of harming a stronger version of Elijah in Season 2, would also scale above Alaric. all of which is false. It remained under the pretense that Harvest Girl Davina had higher AP than Alaric via breaking Klaus's bones easier. It was actually contradicted since the telekinesis push failed to harm Elijah's physical durability. So while yes, Davina technically did break Klaus's bones, it was through influencing his transformation via magic, enabling her to ignore his physical durability, unlike Alaric, who actually had to have a higher AP than Klaus' body could withstand in order to harm him physically. While both feats achieve the same thing, they pertain to two very different ways of doing so. It would make such incomparable, any usage of it unsubstantiable in any debunks pertaining to Alaric. Moving on, the stalemate between Klaus and Alaric in Season 3, Episode 21 of the Vampire Diaries has been used to denounce Alaric scaling any further than this version of the originals. Some claim that since this version of Klaus is weaker than his later counterparts, and he was still able to stalemate Alaric, it would automatically make Alaric inferior to any other versions. This is proven false as well, since in the scene we can clearly see Alaric was superior in their confrontation and their so-called stalemate. Once Alaric flipped Klaus onto his back and tried to stake him using one arm. Klaus immediately used his full strength to stop the stake from moving any closer to his chest, which, if you look at Alaric's starting position compared with where it ended before Elena intervened, proves that he was making significant progress with just one arm. We know Alaric was only using one arm because his second hand was placed in use of holding himself steady, not used to apply pressure. This is in contrast to Mikael, who some argue based on the scene with him and Klaus in Season 2, Episode 4, when he was weakened by werewolf venom and yet still managed to stake him, making him superior to Alaric. This is inherently wrong. It lacks the context behind each scene and the conditions in which both fought Klaus. While Mikael did stake Klaus in a shorter time frame than Alaric, he had a better starting position than Alaric, covering more distance to reach Klaus's chest because he caught him later than when facing Alaric. From there, Mikael had an opportunity to apply himself further by using both arms, driving the stake into his shoulder. Meanwhile, Alaric was holding him at standstill before Elena's interruption, forcing him to split focus between her and their struggle. Furthermore, Klaus, despite being in this position when facing Mikael, managed to move the stake to his shoulder, making an opening for him to grab the Papatunde blade and dagger his father, which ultimately caused his defeat. Now, while trying to hold back Alaric, Klaus couldn't do anything but delay the inevitable until Elena came threatening to hurt herself if Alaric killed Klaus, causing him to stop applying pressure and the stalemate. Henceforth, the fact Alaric did not stake Klaus was a result of the unique circumstances, not a shortcoming in his strength. This undermines the idea of Mikael being his superior due to this feat alone, and thus makes any argument based on it unsubstantiated. Lastly, as Alaric was stated to be superior to all of the originals in TVD Season 3, including Mikael, who had met his demise in Episode 9, and was later resurrected in the originals Season 1, Episode 22. Alaric would scale above everything Mikael could do. Seeing as nothing contradicts this claim, it stands true. Yet there are some who would argue that because Mikael lacked significant feats in TVD, only demonstrating exceptional strength after his resurrection though the Nexus Vorti, he would automatically be stronger than his previous counterpart, thus making him superior to Alaric. Of all the arguments wielded to negate Alaric's superiority over the originals, this is by far the most ludicrous. This belief is flawed, as Davina drew power from the Nexus Vorti, created by the Birth of Hope, when others have been resurrected before. It merely restored them to their previous state, before their demise.
This is my bar, pal. Nobody's gonna blow it up.
And yet there is nothing to indicate that Mikael became stronger due to his rebirth, since his physical body was destroyed, proving such a notion is futile. The thought that a character instantly surpasses the previous version of them due to a lack of feats is outlandish, especially when such feats might have already been within their capabilities, simply waiting for the chance to demonstrate them. So Alaric, stated to be above a healthy Mikael, would automatically eclipse any weaker versions of him and himself at full power, placing Alaric squarely in the conversation for strongest vampires in the Vampire Diaries universe, without question.